Welcome, everyone. How are you doing? I paused a little bit. I wasn't sure if I was on or not, but I'm here. Thank you so much, those of you that have tuned in for another episode of Wisdom Tips. Oh, I'm so excited about this episode tonight because we're going to be talking about living victorious. Thanks for joining another episode here with Wisdom Tips with Dr. Connie Green. I'm so excited. Please share this broadcast with someone that you may think that may like to hear something that we're talking about tonight. We're going to be talking about living a victorious life and how we can be successful doing that just by having wisdom. And we're going to dig deep dive into the Word of God, and we're going to be giving some scriptures at the end on some wisdom tips that you can go study and find out what you can do to make your life better. How many want to be better? This is a new year. I don't know about you, but I want to do things different than I did last year. I want to make sure that things that I started, that I finish, and I just want to be able to live my best life, and not just your best life. I often say a victorious life, because a victorious life simply means that no matter what's going on in your life, you're going to come out victorious. Are you ready? Well, thanks again for another episode here as we dive into the profound transformation power of wisdom. I'm here to drop pearls of true wisdom, giving you the tools that you need to live a victorious life. So today, as I just mentioned, we're going to be embarking on a journey of having wisdom, not only for victorious life, but to be successful in whatever we do, whatever we touch. And because of that, we're going to be looking into the Word of God, and we're going to be seeing some things that we can do to make our life a little bit better. So in today's episode, we're going to explore biblical wisdom, not just natural wisdom. You know, some people are very intelligent and they can do a lot of things, but wisdom is a lot different from being intelligent. It comes from God and God only. Only God knows what's going to happen when we wake up the next morning. Only God knows what our future is. Only God knows that we're going to be successful, we're going to be a failure. Only God knows those things. So when you get wisdom from God, it can transform you in ways you could never even imagine. So come on, explore with me these biblical trainings that I'm going to be talking about today as we discover the timeless truths that lead to successful and victorious life together. So come on with me, come on, embark as we talk about it tonight. And as we talk about how we can experience not just the norm, but we don't want to just be ordinary, doing the ordinary things that everybody else doing. We don't want to be an ordinary person, but we would want to be a person that's going to be transformed, living a victorious life no matter what the devil bring our way. We know that we win in the end. Why? Because we trust God. We know what he's done in the past. And when we look back on our life and we think things over, we can truly say that we've been blessed. Why? Because we got a testimony. So are you ready tonight? And I'm ready. Come on, let's draw from the wellspring of wisdom found within the sacred places and pages of the Bible. And I'm so excited to be able to share some of this with you tonight. So in a world filled with challenges and uncertainty, the timeless wisdom found in the Bible of wisdom is a guiding light to us. It offers profound insight, wisdom where can come from no other than God, and he can give us the wisdom, if the Bible said, if we ask of God. So sometimes, life can get a little bit of frustrated. Things that you tried to build sometimes gets burnt down because situations and circumstances. It could be a financial setback, could be a sickness setback. It could have been that you've just lost your job, something that you really, really love. But when we have wisdom, we can draw on that instead of getting negative and upset and frustrated and scared and just give up. But when we have wisdom, the Bible shows us insight. It's a guiding light that offers profound insight, gives you wisdom that you would never even thought of, things he would tell you to do that you never thought you could do. You never thought it was in you, but you can do all things through Christ that strengthens you. So I'm so excited to talk about this tonight because I believe that we can live a victorious life. If you apply the wisdom tips that I'm going to be sharing with you tonight, you're going to really learn some things that you probably never even thought about. They may sound simple, And they may be simple, but they can be so profound because God can change your life in ways you could never even imagine. So let's apply and navigate this word on tonight. It can be complex sometimes. The life that we live in can be complex and things can go on, but we can keep on embarking on a journey and live the life that God has given us, going through the rich scriptures that provide ageless. It's so ageless because it's old. It's ageless guidance on relationships, on our work, on integrity, personal development, things you thought you never could do. You thought that was too hard for you to do. Sometimes God can just drop things on us and you can say to yourself, what, God, I can't do that. I'm not educated enough. I never went to school for that. But you would be surprised if you just step out and let God do some things in your life. And do it scared. I often say, do it scared. Even when you're scared, you don't even know what you're doing. But if you know that God has called you to do something, go ahead and step out and let God do it. So thank you for joining Living Victorious, as I call it, where we are going to empower you and we're going to give you the wisdom that God has showed to us on scriptures, the biblical wisdom that can be in your life and my life daily. Okay, so we're getting ready to go ahead on break, and when we come back, we're going to give you the wisdom tips for today. It's time for break, but please share this broadcast. When we come back, we're going to give you some phenomenal wisdom tips going to help you right from the scriptures. So stay with us. We'll be right back right after this episode. See you soon.
CTR Media Network is now accepting new podcasters to join our growing network that's reaching 350 million global listeners. Have you heard? CTR Media Network offers podcast production, podcast training, distribution, and product placement. Book us for your next event or schedule an interview with CTR Media Network podcasters today. To learn more, go to ctrmedianetwork.com.
What if we could love the way Jesus did? Passionately, faithfully, powerfully. What if the way we love could make a difference in the world around us? What if that love looked at everyone the way God does? A love which doesn't see the past, but is consumed by a desire to see people come to know Jesus. A love which is patient and kind, not envious or prideful. A love which puts others before ourselves, chooses peace over anger. A love which protects, trusts, hopes, perseveres. Do we love like this? Do we love like Jesus? Maybe it's time to ask a simple question. How can we love better?
How can we love better? That's amazing. One way you can live and love better is by living a victorious life that will empower you to integrate biblical wisdom into your daily life. That's what love is all about. That's what forgiveness is all about. When you live a victorious life, things are going to change for you in ways you could never even imagine. Now, sometimes I talk a little fast, and I'm slowing down a little bit so you can really hear what I'm trying to say. At the end, I always tell you guys, I'm giving you the tools that you need, dropping pearls of true wisdom so you can live a victorious life. And the reason I'm giving you true wisdom, because you got some false wisdom out there that people claim to have because they may be intelligent or they've been to school and seminaries. And yes, they got a lot of stuff going on that they may know, but wisdom comes from God. So tip number one, if you want to live a victorious life and also a successful victorious life. Now, what does that mean? That means you can be successful as an entrepreneur. You can be successful as a parent, successful as a wife, successful as a saint. And then when you begin to walk and live in a successful life, you begin to be victorious because you've been there, done that, got the t-shirt, and God is blessing you. And so instead of being prideful, rejoice and thank God for the opportunity to go through tests and trials and setbacks, and God bring you out of darkness into your marvelous life. That's when you know for sure you're living a victorious life. When you don't give up. Your pillow may be wet at night. You may cry sometime because circumstances have happened in your life and you're just so discouraged. But if you be determined that I got this with the help of God, I can make it. And you start seeing yourself as being successful and seeing yourself as being victorious, nothing in hell can ever stop you. So tip number one is seek God's guidance. Seek his guidance. That's where it comes from. That's where the wisdom comes from. If you want to live a victorious life, you got to seek guidance from God. And the book of Proverbs, chapter 3, verses 5 and 6, encourages us to trust in the Lord with all our heart and lean not unto our own understanding. And in all our ways, acknowledge him, and he would give us the desires of our heart. Seek God's guidance in all aspects of life. In other words, anytime you get ready to make a major decision, before you make any major decision, go to God. Ask him first. Ask God, is this something I need to be doing? Should I take this step? Do this move? Yes or no? God will let you know when you get a personal relationship with him and you begin to hear his voice and know who he really is, because you hear him and you don't hear another. The Bible said in one of the scriptures that, those that belong to God hear his voice and not another. So when you get confused and you're hearing a bunch of voices, you need to get close, get shut in with just nobody but you and God in a quiet, sanctified place. And let God talk to you so you will be able to recognize his voice. So when you do that, tip number one, when you seek God's guidance, he will encourage you. If you trust him, he will guide your heart in all diligence, and God will work it out every time in your favor. Tip number two, practice patience. Now, there's going to be a time in your life where you're going to think God is not with you because you pray for something for a long time and it's not happening. But I want you to practice patience, because we got to wait on the Lord and be of good courage, and he should strengthen our heart. He's not going to always come when we want him, but he's always on time. James chapter 5 and 7 says, it says talks about the importance of patience. He said, trust in God's timing and remain steadfast in your pursuits. Let me say that again. Trust in God's timing and remain steadfast, unmovable, always abiding in the work of the Lord. For as much as you know, your labor is not in vain in the Lord. You may ask God to heal you from a disease or illness, and it seems like he's not answering you, and seem like you're in pain, and it's not going to never go away. But if you wait on the Lord, practice patience, no matter how long it has been, no matter how long you feel like it has taken God to answer, if you wait on him and have patience, he will deliver you and he would help you in your pursuits. Just stand still and see the salvation of God. In other words, some things we don't have to do. We can just step back and just let God do what he do. And who other than God knows what we need in our life. Some things that we need in our life may not be good for us. So God may be holding stuff up for something better. Oh, somebody ought to put that in the comment. So just be patient and let God do it. Tip number 3, embrace humility. Proverbs chapter 11:2 tells us it highlights the value of humanity. So stay humble in your actions and your interactions with others. Humble yourself under the mighty hands of God so he'll lift you up in due time. Love humanity. There's a lot of people out there that need to hear your voice. They need your gifts. They need your talents. So be humble. And when you get to the top, when you get to the mountaintop, humble yourself under the mighty hands of God. Don't be arrogant. Don't think you know it all, because there's always somebody that knows something that you don't know. No matter how smart you are, how intelligent you are, how gifted you are in any area that you have in your life, there is always somebody that knows something that you don't know. So embrace humanity and humble yourself. Humble yourself in your actions and interactions with others. Tip number 4, choose integrity. Choose integrity. Choose to be an honest person, a decent person with integrity. When you say your words, if you give somebody your word, you keep your word. You don't tell people something that you're not going to do. You don't lie and say you're going to be somewhere and you're not, because if something comes up, you need to call. It's bad for you to tell somebody you're going to meet them at 3:00. You don't show up, and then you don't call. Things may happen. You may not can show up, but at least have integrity enough to get on the phone and call and say, hey, I'm not going to be able to make it like I thought I would. Something came up. That's integrity, being honest, being truthful, being real. Proverbs chapter 10:9 emphasizes the importance of integrity. Make choices that align with your values and your principles. Let me say it again. Make choices. In other words, you have the choice. So make choices to align yourself and your values. Align yourself with the right people. Align yourself with your true values and your principles. If they're not your values or your principles, and you're not aligned with them, don't do it, because you're getting ready to fall off the cliff, because you're doing something totally different than who you really are. So do you know who you really are? Well, if you know who you really are, be yourself, whether they like it or not. Okay. Tip number 5, show kindness. Proverbs chapter 10:9 emphasizes the importance of showing kindness as well. But I'm talking about but I want to check out Ephesians chapter 4:32. Also, it talks about showing kindness, which basically means encourage others, extend love, extend kindness to others, even in challenging situations, even when they may be your enemy, even if you don't like them. If they're going through something and they're hurting and if they're in need, even if they talked about you, did you wrong, extend kindness. Isn't that what Jesus did for us? We wasn't nothing before we got saved, or before we knew God, or before we went to church or got saved, or whatever you want to call it. We wasn't nothing. We did a whole bunch of stuff out there in that world. And God didn't have to deliver us. He didn't have to set us free. He didn't have to save us. He died on the cross for us. He didn't, but he extended kindness to us and forgave us. We've got to do the same for mankind. So are you ready? Are you ready to live a victorious life? Now, if you use those 5 steps in your life, you're going to start developing wisdom, knowing how to live in this life, knowing how to finagle in the right way instead of the bad way. Principles that's going to take you a long way for a long time. Tip number 1, God's guidance. Tip number 2, practice patience. Tips number 3, embrace humanity. Tip number 4, choose integrity. Tip number 5, show kindness, even to your enemy. Well, that's going to be it for now for this week's episode of Wisdom Tips with Dr. Connie Green. Join us again every Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at CTR Media Network, YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. And always remember, we ain't got no time for no tears or fears. Why? Because we're too blessed to be stressed. Because wisdom is the principal thing, and all that getting, get an understanding. Why? So you can live a victorious life. Love you guys. See you next week. Have a blessed week.